Design is supposed to resolve usability problems.
Yeah.
Why then are our apps and devices creating more anxiety within each use?
Because they're designed for the outcomes that the companies want. And design's not just about usability, it's about you're designing for particular life experiences and outcomes. And designers have to are not necessarily, like we were just talking about with user experience, designers are not inherently there to serve their users or their customers.
Right.
Designers are there to enact a particular sort of mission that is articulated to them, right? Yeah. So design in that sense is an ability to fuse between the engineering world and the experiential world. And I have a PhD in design studies. So like for me, design is all about the process of opening up or opening off different pathways of living and experience.
Yeah.
So that's what I think of design as, sort of ways to relate people to experiences, to technologies, to narratives.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their job is to aggregate eyeballs, and it makes me think of the coronavirus. If the media can make you paranoid and scared about the coronavirus, well, then what are you going to do? You're going to keep checking,
watching.
Yeah, you're going to keep watching because
now if they were to tell you the opposite, hey, it's fine, you're not going to come back.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, and it's unfortunately that like we are when we are emotional, that is when we react, and that's when we're looking for things. We run away from pain, we run towards pleasure. And it's unfortunate that the media in general, I'm not saying every single media outlet. Josh and I were having this conversation earlier. I said the media. He's like, what do you mean by the media? And I'm just talking about by and large, a large percentage of the media.
Yeah.
They use fear. They don't use happiness. They don't use good feelings. They use bad feelings because we are more apt to look out for that anxious feeling. Because guess what? If we can go to a news outlet and this is where I know the coronavirus is, and these are the places I need to avoid, and this is what I need to do to avoid the coronavirus, it's going to subside that anxiety a little bit, but there's still enough there to keep us going back.
Impulsive and compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And compulsive behavior is pretty easy to control and route, and stimulate.
Well, to echo Ryan's point, we do have to start to call out some of the individuals as well. I mean, I heard... what was his name? Scott G on Sam Harris's podcast recently. He was talking about how he thinks Mark Zuckerberg is the most dangerous man in the world.
I got to get on that podcast and kind of push that a little further. I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways we could dissect that, right? So like, of course, Mark Zuckerberg in many ways is more powerful than a head of state. I remember during the Obama administration, when the Prime Minister of India came to the U.S. for like a state meeting with Obama, before Narendra Modi, who is awful in my opinion and is inciting through the use of social media lots of anti-Muslim violence as we speak in India. But before he came to meet Obama, he came to Silicon Valley to meet Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, I mean, I think Mark Zuckerberg is like a lot of engineers and a lot of execs who are not really exposed to or maybe able to really engage with these kind of systemic, humanizing kinds of issues, human-centric issues, is detached, is disconnected. Yeah. Many of the connectors are disconnected. Yeah. I met Mark Zuckerberg 10 years ago. I was in grad school at Harvard when he was an undergraduate, along with Pete Buttigieg, actually. And when I met him 10 years ago, I just saw this sort of... he offered me intimate Facebook data 10 years ago. I decided not to go there because I was more interested in working with indigenous communities and power to the people kind of stuff, like my book's about. But then I noticed a sort of detached agnosticism. And that's very common in our engineering fields. We don't really infuse humanistic thinking, emotive thinking, ethics-oriented thinking, political thinking in our engineering schools. And this is one of the things I'm really trying to push at UCLA where I teach. Like we're trying to build data and society programs, but we got to have them be about society too, not just data.
Well, there's got to be some like cognitive dissonance when you're someone like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously puts money first. And if you're if you're going at it that way, like you have to ignore some of the systemic problems that you're creating.
And a couple other elements to that. Facebook has a hidden system, which is some reporters have exposed, called the dual class share system, which means that if all the investors in Facebook chose to kick out Mark, they wouldn't be able to, because his class of shares is in a different category. This is like the hidden political economy that one has to look at. And second is, it's pretty notable to look at how a lot of the tech bazillionaires, like Bezos included, who didn't pay taxes, like their companies don't pay much of any taxes, even though they profit from all our socialized costs, right? Like roads and etc., and the internet itself, how they are investing so much in post-apocalyptic bunkers, kind of Dr. Strangelove style, and space.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of like, Tribe Called Quest has this line in their last record where like, it's called The Space Program, this like awesome song that they put out, being like, we're stuck here and the rest of them are out of here.